All right. Oop, cement fell. All right. So this is day 2 of my daily devotional, and well, me making a video for my daily devotional. Well, live stream really. I'm not really making a video. I'm just streaming what I got to talk about, and I look a little crazy right now. Okay. Don't want to distract you with like hair sticking out and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna. My hair looks kind of bad right now. It looked good earlier, but now it's a mess. Anyway, that's not what matters. So for today in my daily devotional, I read Leviticus 20, Leviticus 21, John 1, John 1, 1 through 18, and Psalms 24. NIV, by the way. And I'm going to start with wherever it is, Leviticus. So Leviticus 20, I got a little bit of information from it. And some people aren't necessarily going to agree with me, and that's okay, but I just pray that one day maybe you will find the truth. All right. So something that this said was, I will set my face against anyone who turns to mediums and spiritists to prostitute themselves by following them, and I will cut them off from their people. So this is the Old Testament, and we live in the New Covenant, not the Old Covenant, but it's mentioned in the New Testament about, mediums and spiritists and how they're of evil. They're evil. It's evil. The person they might not think what they're doing is evil, but they're being deceived by Satan. At least, I mean, I don't know. I've heard so many like weird stories from people who've like had situations involving people that are into a lot of magical stuff like witchcraft and tarot card reading and stuff like that, and Ouija boards. And I don't know, these events that I've heard that have happened relating to these, it always leave me so uneasy. And like someone I know, they are a Wiccan, and I don't know, I get really uneasy and a bad feeling about, witchcraft. And this kind of is saying like that we should turn away and not, like become a slave essentially to these, alternative beliefs and alternative practices, because it isn't the practice that we should be following. And then it says to keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. And then again, it says again later in Leviticus 20 to keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive out before you, because they did all these things. I abhorred them. So that says a lot about like today's society. Like, there's so much corruption and wrong and deceit in our current society. And I think this, even though this is from the Old Testament, it speaks a lot of truth about how, we end up falling into these traps that Satan sets up for us with like all these different temptations we have in our world, and with how easy it is for us to be tempted in so many different ways. And it's wild because at my youth group today, we actually talked about temptations and stuff like that. And temptation doesn't have to be like, straight up, sexual. It can be temptations like tempted to lie or steal, or even tempted to just, I don't know. Temptation comes in many different forms, and I think it gets it's given a one-way street, but it's really much more than like what we see on the surface. Like temptation isn't just this is bad. It's like it's different things that tempt us. It's not just one thing that tempts us. I feel like I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm going to continue. And continuing with Leviticus, I didn't really highlight anything in Leviticus 21 because nothing really stood out to me, because there is a lot of stuff in the Old Testament that we don't have to follow because we have Christ. But it's so important to read about, of course, like I said previously. But so I didn't really find anything in that section specifically. That's okay. It's hard. It's hard to find stuff in the Old Testament sometimes. And then let's go to John. I accidentally lost the bookmark for. Let's see. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Okay. So we read John 1, 1 through 18. And there's a lot of good stuff in this. And it kind of goes over like in the beginning, it briefly mentions that, kind of relating back to the Old Testament. And what really like stuck out was how it said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And this Bible, although even though these words were written by, various individuals throughout history, that they were all writing this from God. Even if, they might not have necessarily recognized it directly, because I feel like it's hard to always recognize directly that, oh, God is making me do this. I'm doing this because of God. And we just think we're doing it. But I think God works miracles in ways that we don't necessarily see. And he works in our lives even if we don't see it. And I think, all these different people writing about God and how they all work together, it kind of shows how God really just speaks through us. I'm continuing on. It said, through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that had been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's really important, because I feel like there's so much darkness in our world, and we need to recognize that even if it may seem like we're never like the dark path we're on, or this dark time we're going through, even if it seems it may never end, we just have to realize that what's happening is temporary, but our decisions that we make based on what happened could be permanent, could be forever. Like, this is from youth group. A decision only takes a moment, but its effects can last a lifetime. And I kind of feel like that, works with light shining over the darkness, because if we can, as humans, it's so easy for us to just let bad events, overcome us and overwhelm us and make us either think God's to blame when he isn't, or think that God isn't there for us, or like anything like that, or like God's tempting us. Like, he doesn't do that. He just wants what's best for us. And because we have natural inclination. That sounds wrong. Because we're naturally we naturally just sin. A lot of times we end up blaming God for our, of course we can't control everything that happens in our life, but we can control how we deal with it, Because I know I used to be super negative about how I deal with bad things, and now I feel like I'm at a point where, I can be sad or mad about it at the time, and be angry or upset and wondering why it's happening to me, but I know that it's only temporary, and that God has plans for me, and he will turn this he'll turn it into something better. And I was saying how John came as a witness to testify about God, testify about the light. And it was saying that he himself was not the light, but and that he came only as a witness to the light. So I think that's something that, as humans, we can be selfish, and we tend to center everything about I, me, And I think this kind of like really just says, hey, we're not the bringer of light. God is. We can bring light through God. With God, God can bring light through us, and we can bring light because of him, but it's not just us directly being like, I'm doing this. It's really, I feel like it's really God driven. If we, if you truly believe in God, you would recognize that the goodness that we do is through him. It's not just something we do ourselves. We need God in order to be able to be the best versions of ourselves. I thought this was interesting. How it said, he was in the world, and through the world was and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. And that was John 1:10 through 14. And that kind of really just steadies my belief that God is 3 in 1. He's not just like one being. And a lot of like people that follow like the Bible and stuff, they think that Jesus is merely a man, but he wasn't merely a man. He was also God in the flesh. And this verse kind of really just says that. I mean, it's saying the Word became flesh, and the flesh they're referring to is Jesus. And the Word previously they're calling God the Word. So I thought that was super cool. And then the last part said, for the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. So that was John 1:17. So that's kind of like saying, that's kind of again breaking the old covenant and showing that we're in the new covenant. Like, yes, these restrictions, because I don't want people to think that being a Christian means you're following all these rules and there's certain things you have to do in order to be a Christian. Like you have to, you have to, I'm trying to think of like what to say. You have to wear a hat in church in order to be a Christian. You have to take communion. I mean, I think communion is good to take, but it shouldn't feel like something we have to do, because that turns Christianity into a religion and not a relationship with God. And yeah, let's go into Psalms. So today we read Psalm 24, and this kind of ties into John 1 through 18. It says, the earth is in the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. That's Psalm 24, 1 through 2. And then it continues on. I highlighted some more. I highlighted a lot of this, most of this section of Psalms. Starting from 4 and I end at 10. The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god, they will receive blessings from the Lord and vindication from God their Savior. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, God of Jacob. God of Jacob is just God. It's just referred to God as God of Jacob, because in the Old Testament, a lot of times they'll say the God of your father. You follow the God of your father. Like, I mean, I follow the God of my father, but it's not like, it's not saying that that God is just his. It's not just one person's. It's just, they worded things, the God of Jacob. Anyway, I just wanted to make that clear. Continuing on. Lift up your heads, your gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift your heads up, your gates, lift them up, your ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is he? The King of glory, the Lord Almighty. He is the King of glory. I don't know. I just think that was so good because saying how God, our strength and foundation comes from God, and the glory we may receive comes from God and only God. We can't receive glory and freedom unless we follow Jesus. And that's pretty much it. And I dumbed down some of it, but it's just hard to put into words sometimes, especially since I'm really new to just talking about the Bible. It's a new journey for me. And I hope I will get better at it because I want to be able to share the truth in God's word. I just loved how it's saying, lifting up your heads, your gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, so that God can come in. So I just think that's so cool. Like, we should rejoice that the Lord is with us. We shouldn't be like, when we go to church and be like, oh, I gotta go to church again. We should rejoice that we get to go to church, that we're able to, go to church and believe in God. Because I would say in Western countries, at least, some countries, you're not allowed to practice whatever religion you want. You don't have freedom of religion. And I think the fact that I'm able to practice, God's love and faith and be able to read the truth is so amazing. And it's something that I should be glad and worship. I'm so fortunate to be able to worship God and feel comfortable worshiping God and believing in God. And I just wish more people would be able to do that. But unfortunately, again, we live in a world that has a lot of darkness in it. And it's not perfect, and there's a lot of light that needs to be brought in. But the only way that we can bring in light is by trusting in God and following His word and speaking His truth and just sharing the gospel. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I don't want to talk on too much, So, yeah. Bye. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just hope this really told you something and really got you thinking about God. I don't know. That's all I want.